person in the Senate. Can you believe that? We're going to defeat Kamala Harris. We're going to win back the White House in a historic landslide, and we're going to take back our country. We're going to take it back. And I think it's important to say, and I never get corrected. I know it's fact because, you know, if I'm slightly off, they do stories, headlines. He didn't tell quite the truth. Well, we are leading the biggest political movement in the history of our country, bigger than any movement ever before. There's never been a movement like this. It's called Make America Great Again, MAGA. Make America Great Again. I say to the Democrats when they come out, well, you know, we've got to try and stop MAGA. MAGA is Make America Great Again. What do you want to stop it for? That's what we're doing. They put in a candidate and we beat him badly. How did he do in the debate? Then they put in another candidate. This is like you have two fighters and one guy's losing. They say, come on out, let's put in another one. So then they put in another candidate, and we're doing very well, considering the fact that she has the greatest press. She went from being a totally disrespected person 6 weeks ago. Nobody thought she had a chance. Nobody, and I don't think she can possibly win. If she does, our country is finished. You want to know the truth. But she was totally disrespected. The most unpopular vice president in the history of our country. And then they decided to get politically correct. We have to put her in. They put her in, and now they're putting her on the covers of Time magazine with an artist sketch. They don't use a picture. They don't use a picture. They use an artist sketch. I want to use that artist. I want to find that artist. I like him very much. But we're going to beat her also, and they may then get a third candidate. Who knows? This is a little bit different than we're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to have a candidate. You know, we spent probably $100 million on beating him. Then we had a very good debate, and we beat him. And they said, well, instead of letting it go, who knows what happens, right? It's the world of politics. They say, we want him out. Joe, you're getting out now, Joe. Well, I don't want to get out. I have 14. You're getting out now, Joe. We can do it the nice way, or we can do it the hard way. And he's getting out. He's getting out. In fact, they're not even giving him a good spot to speak. You know, when he's speaking on Monday, Monday's not that's the worst day. But that's what they do, and it's their own form of, it's just another, I guess relatively, it's a minor form of cheating by comparison to what they really do, right? Everything Kamala Harris touches turns bad. It all turns bad. San Francisco was a great city. Now it's unlivable. California was a great state. Now it's unlivable. She breaks everything just like she broke the border, broke our economy. But soon we are going to fix every single problem Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have created, and we are going to save our country. We are going to save America. We're going to save America. Now, this is a little bit different day because this isn't around. This is we're talking about a thing called the economy. They wanted to do a speech on the economy. A lot of people are very devastated by what's happened with inflation and all of the other things. So we're doing this as a intellectual speech. You're all intellectuals today. Today we're doing it, and we're doing it right now, and it's very important. They say it's the most important subject. I think crime is right there. I think the border is right there, personally. We have a lot of important subjects because our country has become a third world nation. We literally are a third world nation. We're a banana republic in so many ways, and we're not going to let that happen because we're starting a free fall. But from today and from the day I take the oath of office, we will rapidly drive prices down and make America affordable again. We're going to make it affordable again. Under Kamala Harris and crooked Joe Biden, the American dream is dead. You don't hear about the American dream anymore. It's dead. Her radical liberal policies have caused horrific inflation, decimated the middle class, and gutted the finances of millions and millions of American families. Real incomes are down by over $2,000 a year per family. I mean, that's a lot of money. They're down by that, and it's actually much more if you figure it a certain way. If you add some other categories in, it's much more than that. But down by 2,000 since she took office, and it was just announced that real earnings were down once again at a record rate. The Harris price hikes have cost the typical household $28,000. Congratulations. Hope everyone's happy. Credit card debt has exploded, and it's exploded to the highest it's ever been, and the cost of a typical monthly mortgage has tripled, and probably more than that if you think about it. We were at about 2.4%, and now you're up to 10% and even 11%, but you're really not there because you can't get the money even if you want to pay it. In July alone, 350,000 people were added to the unemployment rolls. Kamala Harris wants to talk about her fantasies, and they are everything she says. If I say something, she said, that's what she's going to do, too. I say, what are you doing? But she wants to talk for the future about these fantasies, but really what she needs to explain is the present suffering that she's caused along with Joe Biden. And by the way, they're a team. You know, she's trying to throw him overboard. She doesn't want to know who he is anymore. She doesn't want to talk about him anymore. She says, let's not bring this guy in. Let's not bring him in. No, they were a team. He appointed her as border czar, and she did the worst job in the history of borders, I will tell you. Does anyone here feel richer under Kamala Harris than Crooked Joe, than you were during the Trump administration? Is anything less expensive under Kamala Harris and Crooked Joe? I mean, we had inflation that I don't believe we've ever had inflation like that. You can go back a long way. Are you better off now with Harris and Biden than you were with a person named President Donald J. Trump? Do you know him? He's a nice gentleman. Nice gentleman. With 4 more years of Harris, your finances will never recover. They're never going to recover. Our country will never recover, frankly, more importantly. It will be unrecoverable. Vote Trump and your incomes will soar, your savings will grow, young people will be able to afford a home, and we will bring back the American dream bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Look at this. We have a lot of front row Joes here. Wow. Hello. What a great group of patriots they are. I don't know. They've gone to, I think, 219 or 220. And this isn't rally, but this is a different kind of a thing. Today we're going to talk about one subject, and then we'll start going back to the other, because we sort of love that, don't we? But it's an important, they say it's the most important subject. I'm not sure it is, but they say it's the most important. Inflation is the most important, but that's part of economy. Kamala Harris wants to be in charge of the entire U.S. economy, but neither she nor her running mate is the beauty, isn't he? He signed a bill. He wants tampons in boys' bathrooms. I don't think so. Tampons. But they've never held a private sector job in their entire professional careers, and it's no wonder they're both socialists. They're actually beyond socialists. I think they skipped over socialists. That's why I think when people find out, because you don't know who these people are, I think when people find out who they are, I personally don't think they can do well in the election. They've destroyed this country. What they've done, when you look at San Francisco, what happened to, and she was the one that started it years ago. She was district attorney. Then she was the attorney general of the state of California. California is a disaster now. Now, Gavin Newsom hasn't helped very much, but it's a disaster. She was the one. This November, voters are going to give radical liberal Kamala Harris the opportunity to try something new. A real job in the private sector for the first time in her life. It's nice. Kamala has declared that tackling inflation will be a day one priority. Just think of it, for her, but day one for Kamala was 3.5 years ago. Why hasn't she done it? You know, I keep saying, She's one of these complainers, you know, like a critic. I remember growing up, I'd see plays on Broadway, and I'd go to different things, and you'd always have critics, they criticize, but I'd see, and they were critical, but they never did it themselves, you know? She's a critic, that's all she is. She never did anything. Nothing that she ever did worked. When Kamala lays, and she got lucky with this. She was the first one out. She was 22 people, I guess, I hear. I just asked, I said, that many? A lot of people. She never made it to Iowa, the great state of Iowa. She was the first one out. She had a lack of skill, and people didn't like her, and now she's running for president, and she never got one vote. Think about that. When Kamala lays out her fake economic plan this week, probably will be a copy of my plan, because basically that's what she does. Just remember, she goes to work every morning in the West Wing. Her desk is 10 steps from the Oval Office. She cast the tie-breaking votes that gave us record inflation, and for nearly 4 years, Kamala has crackled as the American economy has burned. What happened to her laugh? I haven't heard that laugh in about a week. That's why they keep her off the stage. That's why she's disappeared. That's the laugh of a crazy person, I will tell you, if you haven't known it. It's a crazy. She's crazy. They told her, don't laugh, don't laugh. No, it's her. No, her laugh is career-threatening. They said, don't laugh. She hasn't laughed. She doesn't laugh anymore. It's smart, but someday it's going to come out. That's the laugh of a person with some big problems. She says her plan is going to be and bring down prices. She thinks she's going to bring down prices. Then why? Here's a simple little few words. Why didn't you do it, Kamala? Why didn't you do it? You've been there 3.5 years. Why aren't you doing it now? You can do it right now. I can say that with everything. Why hasn't she secured the border? You know, she was the border czar, right? She was the border czar. It was a big deal. She says now she wasn't the border czar. That's okay. She was in charge of the border. Call it whatever you want. But she was in charge, and it was the worst. This was the worst border in history. There's never been a border in the world like this. Why hasn't she brought back the jobs? Why? She talks about jobs. We're going to come up with a new plan. She's been there for 3.5 years with a man who, frankly, she defrauded the public because she didn't tell you about that man. I exposed him during the debate. Thank you very much. Thank you. And now the bombs are starting to drop in the Middle East. You see what's going on there, right? That would have never happened. Israel would have never happened. Ukraine would have never happened with Russia. You wouldn't have ever had an embarrassment like that Afghanistan disaster, with worst, most embarrassing day in our country's history. Inflation would have never happened. We would have never had it. It was caused by a very stupid energy policy. Then he went back to my policy because prices were going up so much. But it'll end. If they won this election on day one, all of that would end, and this country will go through hell. And it can never come back. Once it goes, it's pretty far down already. I'm going to have to work very hard. It's pretty far down. When you let 20 million people come into our country from places unknown and from prisons and from mental institutions and terrorists, Kamala Harris won't end the economic crisis. She will only make it worse. And why hasn't she done it? She talks about it. She's doing a plan. You know, she's going to announce it this week, maybe. She's waiting for me to announce it so she can copy it. Like, remember a couple of days ago? And we will have no tax on tips. I said that was my plan. Not only didn't she, I mean, they came up with a plan to go after all these people violently. Then one day she just uttered that sound, but she'll copy a lot of other things too. But she'll never do them. She'll never do them. She'll say them for the election, but she'll never do them. She can't solve the problem because she is the problem. She really is. People like her. When I left office, I handed Kamala and crooked Joe Biden a surging economy with no inflation. The 30-year mortgage rate was 2.4%. Gasoline had reached $1.87 a gallon, and for periods of time was even lower than that. The African American poverty rate was down 7%. The Hispanic American poverty rate was down 8%. The biggest drops, the greatest drops that you've ever seen in this country. They've never had it so well. Nobody has. Every group, men, women, Hispanics, Asians, blacks, everybody was down at a level that nobody's ever seen. We had some of the greatest periods of economic growth and health that any country has ever seen. I think probably more than any country has ever seen. In 4 short years under President Trump, we passed the largest tax cuts in history, the largest regulation cuts in history. We unleashed American energy and real income surged by more than $4,200 in just a short number of months. I mean, it was nobody, you never had it so good. Now you're not doing so well, I hate to say. We had the strongest economy in history. There's never been a country that had an economy like us. I gave Harris and Biden an economic miracle, and they quickly turned it into an economic nightmare with a nation-wrecking agenda ripped straight out of Kamala's San Francisco liberal playbook. What they've done to poor San Francisco. Well, we're gonna try and bring that back too. Harris and Biden waged war on American energy, threw open our borders, flooded the country with low-wage migrant workers, passed the Green New scam, racked up almost $10 trillion in debt, and buried our workers in job-killing regulations, costing $10,000 per family. That's a lot of money. You don't have to imagine what a Harris presidency would look like. You're living through the misery right now, except it will get worse, and you're paying the price, a price like nobody's ever paid, and we're disrespected all over the world as a country. We were respected before Putin respected us, President Xi of China respected us, Kim Jong-un of North Korea respected us. We were respected by everybody in the world. Today we're being laughed at. Today we're being laughed at all over the world. You're paying the price for Kamala's liberal extremism at the gas pump, at the grocery counter, and on your mortgage bill, and on everything else. How about your car insurance? How's that doing? Not too good, right? I saw today it's up like 82%. We're not going to let this incompetent socialist lunatic keep breaking our economy for 4 more years. It'll destroy our country. On Election Day, we're going to tell her that we've had enough, that we can't take it anymore, Kamala. You're doing a horrible job. You were a terrible attorney general. You were a terrible district attorney. You're the worst vice president in history. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. Go. Get out of here. Right? Get out. Boom. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was not a pleasant day. I'll tell you, front row Joes were there. Front row Joes were there. They've seen it all, haven't you, huh? You've seen it. That was a horrible day. That was a terrible day. She's flip-flopping on every single thing she's ever espoused or believed in, the border, health care, crime. But she truly is a radical. She's flip-flopping on everything to get elected. After she gets elected, it all goes right back to where it was. She refuses to do any interviews or press conferences. Almost 30 days now. She hasn't done an interview. You know why she hasn't done an interview? Because she's not smart. She's not intelligent. And we've gone through enough of that with this guy, Crooked Joe. He didn't do interviews either. They kept him in his basement, and essentially they're keeping her in the basement the same way they kept her. They don't want to expose her to, like, a question like, what did you have for dinner tonight? Remember, Joe? What kind of ice cream is your favorite? Vanilla. Oh, I like vanilla. Oh. That was George Flopadopoulos. He asked him that. What's your favorite ice cream? With me, they asked me a little bit different question. That's all right. Did everybody the other night see Elon and me? Huh? It's great. That was one of the most successful shows ever done. I mean, that was a lot of people like him. I think they like me too, come to think of it. But he's great, and he gave us his full endorsement. He's a great guy, but he basically, he's a guy doesn't need this stuff. What he wants to do is see our country be great again, and he understands. And it's very hard for him to endorse the opposing party. It's not easy. It's very hard. But he really cares about our country, and he knows the opposing party has really destroyed our country and will destroy our country and permanently destroy our country, and he can't watch that. But we had a great chat for 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours being grilled by Elon, and we had a good time, actually. We're talking about something we love, our country. Much easier when you love something, right? She doesn't want anybody to know what she's really for, and that way she can change it, I mean, she'll tell you what she wants and change it the way she wants it, and ultimately it'll be the way she wants it. I mean, the clown that she picked as a vice president, this guy's a clown. He was so bad. When Minneapolis was burning down, he didn't want to call in the National Guard. I got him on the phone. You got to get the National Guard. Get it. I'm telling you, if I didn't force it upon him, you might not have the city. Remember CNN standing up? This is a season of love. This is a very peaceful protest, and the whole city is burning down behind him. You ever see anything? As far as the eye could see, the whole thing looked like World War II. Speaking of World War III, I'll keep you out of World War III. He's going to put you in World War III. We're very close. You're very close to being in a war, a big war, a world war. You're very close. We've never been this close. And we have incompetent people in the White House, grossly incompetent people. There was no reason for Russia and Ukraine to go at it. There was no reason for Israel to be attacked on October 7th. Would have never happened. But a politician will always go back to where they started, and on November 6th, she will be a San Francisco liberal, again, destroying everything in sight. I wonder what she does after this. Our country will never recover, especially when added to the destruction they've already caused over the last almost 4 years. Think of our country. Think of the border. Think of what happened. We had the best border. My all-time favorite graph, right? That is my all-time favorite graph, not only because it shows the best border, but for another reason. I tell you what, I'm glad I looked around to look at it. I go, wah, pew. That's my favorite of all time. Even if it was